The thing is, groundwater is out of sight and out of mind. It is underground. So we need to get to understand the dynamics of groundwater through what we call hydrogeology. We have to collect data and analyze the data and understand how the groundwater operates underground. And then using that information, we can make decisions on its utilization. Especially now, groundwater is less affected by the impacts of climate change. It does not evaporate like surface water, but once it is also polluted underground, you cannot clean it like what you do with surface water. So it's very important to protect groundwater. It is also important to use it wisely because it's not an infinite resource.
Now, finally, it's difficult to talk about water and not mention the climate change. What kind of questions should we be asking ourselves, and what kind of preparations should we be engaging in?
So, like I hinted, groundwater is underground and it is less prone to the impacts of climate change. Probably drought, if we have drought, it means the recharge is minimized. If we have floods, we should also take the opportunity because climate change means more floods, more frequent floods, more severe floods. Maybe we should also learn to do what we call managed aquifer recharge, inject the groundwater into the aquifers underground and extract it during those times of difficulty. So we have to improve the science of doing managed aquifer recharge. We also have to be aware of the fact that the more people rely on groundwater, they also pollute it. We have people living in some of those zones where recharge occurs, then they pollute groundwater. So we have to ensure that people don't sit in those wetlands, in those recharge zones where groundwater is recharged and in essence then polluted. So we have a lot of work to do to understand this resource and to also understand it in the context of climate change. Yes, so Lesotho has an abundance. I mean, it's the water tower, like you say, and where there's surface water, there's groundwater, right? So we are saying in the villages, the dependence on groundwater is very high. It's probably up to 60%, right? Because we run pipelines, we do dams, but people don't have direct access to those on a day-to-day basis. They need go to the small well and they extract water from the underground, from the spring and so forth and so forth. So that's what it means. And in Lesotho, we're actually working with Lesotho at the moment to install what we call monitoring networks to try and understand the quality and the quantity of groundwater in the country. So because without that kind of information and data, you cannot understand the resource. And so Lesotho has a dependency like another of the countries in our region, where in our region in total, we have about 70% of our communities relying on groundwater. And Lesotho is not far from that. So as urbanization intensifies, you also realize that the central water supply systems fail and people start to do their own wells on their plots and things like that. That is groundwater. We need to use it wisely, especially now under the impacts of climate change.